Okay, right. So good morning all. So right. So in introduction part, we discussed some scenarios in the last class. So today, now we are going to work with other scenarios, especially installation related scenarios. We discussed like we have two different things in this training. I mean, not only training, in our daily job also, configuration related scenarios and the other thing is configuration is there means obviously monitoring will be there. Okay. So configuration monitoring in the same way. The other thing is ticket based work. You have to work with the different types of tickets. So we have some clarity here. So today I'll give you more scenarios. That means we are starting with class 1 today. Session 1 we are starting today. So in this session 1, we are going to discuss more on installation related scenarios. I'm going to work today. Right. So maximum installation part means what happens, what are the prerequisites there? What are the versions there? So these are all we need to discuss. And before going to start discussing about like installation of the SQL, I want to discuss some points here. See, you're going to install some software. Not only Microsoft SQL Server, some softwares. Some requirements will be there. Operating system requirement, other softwares requirement. Okay, no? So coming to next. Sorry, there is some issue with throat. 1 second, right? Got it. Next, disk space is always important. For example, enough disk space is not available, then how can you go for installation? You cannot. So, coming to next scenario. After disk space, we also need memory requirement. Memory means what? RAM. In the same as CPU requirement. CPU means processor. So I think quite common scenario I'm discussing. For example, you are attending training. You want to go for SQL Server installation in your laptop. Generally, what we do, we ask trainer. So when you are asking trainer, he'll provides your system configuration details. Am I right or not? Sir, my system operating system is Windows 10 or Windows 11, Windows 10 or Windows 11, and i3 or i5 processor, something like that. And this much of disk space is available here in my system. So we will ask like this, suppose 8 GB RAM available. So can I go for SQL installation or not? This type of questions generally we ask. See, the same thing we do in real time also. Okay. The same thing we do in real time also. So certain requirements there to install SQL Server. And simple logic I'll tell you. Suppose you purchased a new laptop, i7 or 7th or 8th generation, 16 GB RAM, 1 terabyte hard disk, super configuration laptop you purchased. But there is no operating system installed in that laptop. Can you use it? No. Am I right or not? So you purchased hardware. Then what to do? You have to install operating system. Then only you can use it. Same way, certain requirements will be there for every installation. Generally, we can divide them into hardware requirements, and these are hardware requirements. In the same way, these are software requirements. Okay, na? So now, who is going to decide this disk space requirement, RAM requirement, CPU requirement? So that I want to give you a little idea about it. Okay, na? So now the thing is, database architect team will be there. They collect complete information from the client. Information means what? Requirement. I'll give you a simple scenario. Suppose you go to car showroom. You want to purchase new car. Some salesperson will be there, or manager or somebody will be there. They will ask you about your requirement. Am I right or not? So they will give you some suggestions. Suppose you need 5-seater or 7-seater, and fuel type like petrol or diesel, and engine capacity, right? So these are all. So then they will suggest you, okay, go for this product, and they will convey same message to product owner. Product owner means manufacturer, right? And so in this, that means they are like mediators. So in the same way, when we are going to build this server, between client and DBA team, some business team will be working. Some business team will be there. They are going to collect all the requirements from the client, and they will give us the same requirements. What are the things will be there? What they are going to collect from the client? Main scenarios. So what is the initial size of the database? Number of users. And after 2 years, what you are expecting, size growth and number growth of the users. After 5 years, what is the expectation on database size growth and number growth? This type of calculations will be there. Based on that only, they prepare some plan, and they will work with the architect, database architect. So they prepare some plan that we call as capacity planning. Based on that, disk space, RAM requirement, CPU requirement will be finalized. Okay, now? So we are DBS, right? As of now, we can remove it from here. So now let's go to this scenario. In this scenario, first priority always goes to operating system. Suppose now we are using our laptops and personal laptops. These are our personal, even mine is also laptop, right? These are personal laptops. In this scenario, what will be the operating general operating system? Windows 10 or Windows 11. But here problem is These are client operating systems. Now we installed SQL Server in this laptop for practice purpose. It's not real-time project purpose, right? So it's okay, no problem. But coming to real-time environment, you are going to build database servers. You are going to build database servers. For that, you cannot use client operating system. These operating systems you cannot use in real time. Generally, we go for server operating systems. Windows Server 2016, and now we have Windows Server 2022 also. So these are the operating systems we use in real-time environment to install SQL Server. Got my point, right? Don't forget it. Even Windows Server 2012 is also there, but just recent scenarios only I'm discussing. Okay, now. So general configurations and SQL, coming to SQL version. Suppose SQL you are working with the 2016 version or 2017 version or 2019. These versions we use this operating system combination, the best combination. So recently what happened, Microsoft released SQL Server 2022 also. If any spell mistakes, please don't mind. Okay, na? So this is the combination. Even we can install SQL Server 2019 on top of Windows Server 2022. No problem. Okay, na? So please remember these combinations. We are already recording this session. We will share you recording of the class. Okay, na? So these combinations. So coming to next scenario. Generally what happens, your DBA. This is database administration training. SQL Server. And SQL Server, SQL Server same and there is no confusion. Sometimes I call it as SQL Server, sometimes I call it as SQL Server, but there is no confusion, please. Okay. So coming to next scenario now. In this environment, in real time, I'm talking about real time project when you are working as a DBA. You are going to work with multiple servers and multiple databases, no doubt. And there is no doubt at all. But what is the deployment pipeline? What is the deployment pipeline? That is important for us. Okay. So generally, simple thing and of course, very important. Very important thing also. Okay, na? Right, guys. So like this. In the beginning, what happens, development will be done. Then your database will be transferred to QA. QA means what? And testing. And then it goes to production. Now remember, we are developing these databases for our data storage purpose. This is the scenario. Okay. Ultimate aim, ultimate goal of the maintaining database is always like, data storage. There is no doubt. So, your project, I'm talking about only databases because this is database administration training. This is database administration training, so that I'm talking about only databases, right, guys? Right. See, in the beginning, development will be done. Development means what? Creating tables, writing commands, writing queries, writing stored procedures. That is comes under development. Why we are discussing about table concept here? What is this table concept? Because in SQL Server database, you can store data in the form of tables only. SQL Server database, you can store data in the form of tables only. There is no other facility. Views concept we have, but forget about that. Okay, you're a DBA, I know that, but DBA still better to know something about developer. That's why we are going to discuss some developer scenarios in this training. Okay. Suppose after finishing development, your database will be transferred to test environment. Their testing team will be there. They are going to test the databases. Okay, Nami? Database means what they are testing, tell me. Structure and function. Suppose you are writing some query. Query is fine or not, structure. Query is executing or not, functional. This type of testing they perform. Then it will be transferred to production. See, basically we are going to store clients data, customers data in our database. In this entire scenario, in production database, we are going to store customers data. So production server is always important for us. Even QA development also important, but there we are not going to store customers data, clients data. We are going to store, we store customers data in the form in production environment, right? And that's why production is always important, and whatever the configurations you are going to learn in this training, you are going to perform them on production maximum. Okay, now? So this we better to maintain clarity. So that means we have different types of servers and different purpose also. So based on server type, we have to select edition of the SQL server. See now you are practicing. Practice purpose, you are going to use different types of environments. Like for example, not environment, actually different versions of the SQL server you are using. For example, free version. Directly you can download SQL from Microsoft official website and install. But in real time, it will not work, right? In real time, we should go for licensed version of the SQL server only, no doubt. It's mandatory for us. So now what happens, anyhow you are going for licensed, right? Cost will be there. Price. Basically what happens, in Microsoft SQL Server, we have different editions of the SQL, like Enterprise Edition. This is the top end edition of the SQL Server. It contains each and every feature of the SQL Server. So Enterprise Edition we are using for production, no doubt. If somebody asking you which edition of the SQL Server we are using, definitely it is like Enterprise Edition. Then we have Standard Edition. The major difference between Enterprise and Standard is cost will be reduced, even features also reduced. But generally, Standard Edition usages we will not. But I observed some scenarios, some clients where they're maintaining less amount of data. Those people are using Standard Edition for production, but I never worked with Standard Edition for production in my career. we work with enterprise edition for production because it's very important environment production. That's why we should go for enterprise edition for the production. I will tell you the reason why. Suppose now you install standard edition in production. So later you need some other features which are not available in standard. Then what to do? You have to upgrade it from standard to enterprise in the production. So upgrade you can do. You can pay the amount and you can get the license and you can go for upgrade. But disturbance will be created. Am I right or not? Some downtime will be created. This type of issues we are going to face. That's why it's better to go with enterprise edition only. In the beginning only, then you can avoid these issues, right? That is the plan actually. So next we have developer edition. I'm sorry if any spell mistakes, don't mind that. So developer edition, it is completely middle range. Limited cost and limited features. I will share those cost and editions related information. A document I prepared, I'll share. Don't worry. So developer edition, generally we use it for development environment and QA environment. Okay, na? Then we have Express also. This is completely free edition. We cannot use it for production purpose. So here important thing is we are using enterprise edition for production. Don't forget. In the same way, developer edition we are using for test environment and development environment. Maintain clarity. This is fixed. You fix it in your mind. That's all. There are no changes. Nobody will ask you why you are using enterprise edition, why you are using developer edition. If they are really working in real environment, they will not ask you this type of questions. You can trust me because I, at least based on my experience, right guys? Okay, now. So now coming to next scenario. This is about editions, and previously we discussed about, I mean, before this, we discussed about some scenario like combination of the operating system and SQL Server also we discussed. So let's go to next step. My next scenario is prerequisites. Done. We are done with prerequisites. But a few things I want to discuss about prerequisites only still. The reason I want to give you more clarity, I want to make you perfect. Actually, RAM allocations. You know, two things are mandatory in our server. What are those things mandatory? Tell me. Windows operating system mandatory and SQL Server mandatory. In the beginning, we are going to install Windows operating system. Later, we install SQL Server. That's what we do generally. Okay. So coming to RAM allocation, generally what we do, 20% of the RAM we will allocate for operating system. Remaining 80% of the RAM we will allocate for SQL Server. Generally, allocation we do for SQL Server, but not for Windows. 80% you are giving to SQL Server means remaining 20% will be assigned to Windows automatically, right? But here one more important point, and minimum memory, maximum memory, minimum 0% to maximum 80%. That we do for a SQL Server. So remaining 20% is for operating system. Got my point, right? Don't forget this. RAM allocations, right? So coming to next scenario. Now, disk space allocations. Only disk space, we need separate disk space for SQL installation because SQL installation creates some files in our disk. So that those files storage purpose, obviously we need disk space, installation related, and then databases related also we need disk space. You're creating database, you'll get some files for the database. Later you're going to store data in the database, right? So obviously we need some space in the disk. In the same way, especially backups purpose. From databases, we perform backups. So security purpose, we take copy of the database. So that we call it as backup. So these are all we perform. These are really important for us. Okay. So coming to next step, terminology. The terminology is also really important. Big terminology means laptop. That is terminology. Like that. Instance means what? Host name means what? See, instance means it is fresh copy of the SQL Server installation. You are installing SQL Server in some machine means, I'm sorry, you provide some name for that. That name we call as instance name only. So host name means your system name, your computer name. You are using some computer means some name must be there. We call it as computer name, system name, host name, different things, but here we call it as host name. Okay, na? So then server name. Right. Right. Right, yes. Server name means what is our SQL server name. Again, the question is, sir, what is this instance name is SQL server name only, right? Then why you are talking about server name? See that. Correct question, Andy. Server name comes with the host name slash, I'm sorry, instance name. This is your server name. By using this name only, you can connect to SQL server and you can perform operations. Okay, now that is what server name means. Don't forget these points. So coming to next step now, we'll go with some example for this so that you'll get more clarity. Suppose this is some computer. In this computer, we are going for SQL installation. So computer means what happens in the beginning, operating system installation will be done. For example, for this, they have given name as DBS1. What is this DBS one? Tell me. This is host name of the computer. Yes, I'm giving some name and name. That depends, right? In the same computer, we are going for SQL Server installation. SQL Server installation, I'm giving name as suppose Kesto1. What is this name and this is called as instance name. See that. The beginning. See, operating system you are not going to install. Windows administrator will do the task. Windows administrator will do OS installations, right? Windows. Later, you are going to install SQL Server in the same computer. So now you got clarity. What is host name? What is instance? We provide host name to operating system. I mean Windows team, and instance name we are only providing DBA team, right? So now coming to next step. Please mute all of you. Mute. Any questions, you can unmute and talk to me. Right. Database correct right now. That is already discussed. Host name, instance name. Now tell me what is our host name? DBS1 slash. What is your instance name? Guest. Actually, your voice is not clear and my issue mostly. Some echo sound is coming when you are talking. Message, please. All are facing same issue. My voice issue. Okay, now? Right. So now this. Okay. Right. See this. This is our server. Right. So how the server name created? Oh, really? Still same issue? Sure. Why it's happening? Network is also good, right? Yeah. Thank you. So coming to next step. Host name slash instance name. This is host name slash instance. By using this name, this we call it as server name. By using this server name only, we are going to connect to SQL Server. This is what the thing. So our next step is we have to install SQL Server in our laptops. And I'm giving you some combinations here. Suppose your operating system Windows 10, then download SQL Server 2019. Suppose your operating system is, Windows 11, then download SQL Server 2022. Don't forget these combinations. Based on compatibility only, I'm giving you this information, guys. So don't forget. So prerequisites to everything we discussed today. That means what is the next step? Perform SQL installation and perform post installation checks. Along with this, you also download SSMS software. SSMS means SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, na? And one more important point, SQL Server 2022 software you can get it easily, no problem at all. Because that is the latest version, you can get it. I mean, just go to Google and type SQL Server 2022 download, and don't download Express Edition. Download developer. What's happening? Nagesh, can you hear me? Still same issue?
Look like your voice is in mute, echo.
Just it started from last 5 minutes only, right?
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes only it's happening. Okay.
Yes.
Now I have to write program to find out the issue. We'll write. Network, it is 150 MB speed, but how much it is coming now? 110 coming. Okay, no problem. Okay, right. Yes. So here, 1 second, go to my voice is repeating. All are muted. All are muted or not? If some participant is an unmute, then also same issue will come. That is the problem. Okay, right. If you want to go for SQL 2019, you type like this: SQL Server 2019 download. Okay, now. So go to this area. If you see here, 2022 only you can see. 2019 you cannot see there. Okay.
This your voice is in echo still.
Do one thing. I don't know what is the problem. Let's continue tomorrow. Okay. Better. We'll continue tomorrow.